This is Ed Czerwien with the USDA in Amarillo, Texas, with the weekly box beef recap for week ending July 6th. The comprehensive choice cutout, which is the weekly average of all types of sales, was at 196.88, which was just about steady since it was only 13 cents lower than last week. The total reported volume was 6,163 loads, which was a big 1,580 loads less than last week, partially because of that holiday-shortened week. The formula trade was at 3,216 loads for the week, which was 718 loads less than last week and about 52% of the total sales. Volume as a whole suffered considerably and was even below last year's holiday week trade. The primal cut trade portion of the choice cutout shows the driving factors in the dramatic run-up that we saw early in the grilling season. When we look at the first 6 months of this year, we can see that rounds and chucks, which are displayed by the bar graphs, did not change much in price at all. The driving force, or the jump in the cutout, was the prices for ribs and loins as seen in the line graphs. However, they have started their seasonal decline, but from very lofty peaks, and the fate of the cutout in upcoming weeks will no doubt hinge on how far down they fall. Fortunately, their decline has been buffered slightly by a big increase in the price of 50% trimmings just recently. The out-front sales were only 1,002 loads, which was 377 loads less than last week. Out-front sales have followed their normal seasonal trends this summer. However, this year's bookings did not surpass normal seasonal averages. In fact, when you look at last year's graph overlaid on top, you can see that we enjoyed a much larger out-front sales last year, particularly in June. Out-front sales have a tendency to buffer and support prices because they represent product that was sold for later delivery, so the packers and the buyers both are committed to those sales. However, these recent sales have not included much middle meats lately, so they will not support loin and rib prices like they do some years. A lot of the recent out-front sales have been rounds and briskets. Taking a look at exports, they reported 787 loads, which was 472 loads less than the previous week. The NAFTA exports represented 194 of those total loads, and 593 loads were shipped overseas. Those overseas numbers were just a little over half of the previous week's numbers. We have been waiting to see how the rising value of the dollar was going to affect exports, and we're starting to see the impact now. Taking a look at the 10-week rolling box beef sales or load count, we averaged 7,120 loads per week compared to 7,358 loads per week last year at the same time, which was 238 loads less than last year each and every week. During the last 2 months, we have come closer to last year's numbers than any recent time, but we still did not ever surpass last year or the previous years. We now appear to be starting an earlier decline than we saw last year. Thank you. This has been Ed Czerwien with the USDA in Amarillo, Texas.